Hey everyone, this is Richard Knittle, junior poet and author. I'm going to be doing some live poetry reading, three or four things I think. A couple of my new ones, and maybe a preview of one that I'm writing. First of all, I hope everyone's having a good week so far. It's hot here in Texas. It's starting to really get hot, and the humidity is just kicking my butt. I'm losing weight, as you can see. My growth figure's coming back, and I'm feeling a lot better. So, all right. So what we're going to do? We're just going to start right down the line like I always do. And this is a short poem. It's called "One of the Saddest Things That You Will Ever See Is a Poet in Love with His Beautiful Muse, who has inspired some of the world's most beautiful love poetry. For she had filled all the ink in his pen the first time they ever met, and will until forever never ends with her in his arms, loving him." Um, that's a new one. Now this new one, this one was a little fun to write. I don't know why I wrote it, but it just came out. And I think somebody was playing games with me upstairs. It started out as a dark poem, and ended up being funny, and I just kept on going with it. So I really hope you like it. It was night, and I was all alone, like always, walking aimlessly around, fed up with everyone around me as it was falling apart from no matter which way I turned. Even thinking to myself on ending it all, my head was clouded in a thick black fog, while my heart was hating anyone at all. The darkness that lived inside me was causing a mental breakdown and much anxiety. The tears were falling so much that I could not see. My mind was a blur of all kinds of bad thoughts and memories. What happened to all the laughter I used to know? Why can't I make a right decision anymore? Why can't I make a right decision anymore? Joy is now dead and happiness is no more. And then I tripped and I fell to the ground, hoping that this was it. And I was finally done. So I said real loud, "God, please take me home." And then I closed my eyes while the teardrops fell, and I cried for my mom. And I cried for my boys. I cried because I'm an addict who cannot find a cure. I cried for all the love that I lost in my life. I cried for the babies that never see light. I cried for the babies that never see light. Repeated now, great. I cried. I cried for those who have been abused because that ain't right. I cried for the children who could not afford shoes. And I cried until I could cry no more. Until I heard a voice calling out to me somewhere in the dark, "Are you all right?" So I looked up to see. Right then, I knew that I was not in Kansas anymore. I shook my head and thought, what the hell? It looks like I was stuck in the land of Oz. And sitting smack dab in the middle of the yellow brick road with a light, a scarecrow, and an old rusted tin man staring down and looking right at me. I closed my eyes hoping this was just a dream, but it opened them up. It was more of a nightmare. It seemed that I must have been in complete shock, or I must have hit my head real hard. And then I thought for a minute, and I hoped that I remembered which one wanted what. Because I needed to stop the one wanting a heart. Why would you want that? They're always breaking and very hard to start, and maybe I could trade him and he could have mine. For it's seen its fair share of misery, heartaches, and broken hearts. And love, don't get me started. It's nothing more than a battlefield, a bloody war that nobody wins or starts. Always given away, never returned, that lies to you to save itself the pain and causes teardrops to fall down like rain. And yes, a beating heart does mean you're alive when it falls. In love, and the feeling you get such a big rush like that of a 50,000 foot nosedive. Then the scarecrow gave me his hand and he helped me back up on my feet. And he said, "You gotta be careful on this old dusty street. It's filled with potholes that will never be filled, nor cracks will ever be sealed. Ever since Oz closed up his doors, packed up all their things, and went back home. It's been real quiet around here, and there's never any fun. Ever since I got this brain in my head, it hurts all the time, thinking of this and that, always going all the time, trying to figure out what was real and what's sublime. But the one thing I cannot figure out is the one thing I never want. I mean, that is love, anyways. Why does it exist? Why the hell is it so hard to resist? Why is love so hard to find and so easy to lose? When you fall, it's fast and it hits you hard, and the pain that comes from a broken heart is one that hurts, and it hurts like hell." I laughed and I smiled at him, and I laughed out loud. I said, "You're the smartest scarecrow I've ever found." So next was a lion standing tall and looking proud, and he roared, "Love, you can have it, for it makes me sick. If I ever get hold of that Cupid, I'll eat him up and use his arrows as just toothpicks for what he did to me. I fell hard in love one time, you see. I was a king and she was my queen. We made love every single night, held on to each other tight under the pale moonlight, and I was happy. So was she. So I thought. And then she left one day and never came back to some dude with long blonde mane. He was a model, in fact. He was smooth and a Rico Suave. And I thought, that was a really cool cat. She had stars in her eyes, and now I understand. Now that I think about it, I can see why. She only used me and took all she could, never really loved me as I loved her. And the pain I still feel, so I just howl at the moon. It's the loneliest feeling you can ever feel. Then he said, looking at the Tin Man as he laughed so hard, he couldn't take a breath. He laughed so hard he couldn't take a breath, and then the Scarecrow started laughing too. Then they fell to the ground laughing. They could barely say a word as they said, he's the expert ever since he got the art. He rolled his eyes back and said, Mr. Hart, the doctor of love, you got a problem, give him a call. I looked over the Tin Man, I thought, oh wow, he was looking kind of old, a little rusty around the edges, and he lost some bolts. You see, in all the places where you can see all the teardrops, all our bomb. Let's try that over again. He rolled his eyes and said, Mr. Hart, okay, hold on, oh wow, no. All right. You can see all the places where the teardrops had fallen, leaving lines down his face so deep they looked like scars in a monster movie. He said, hey, mister, why are you here? Whatever you got, I don't want it. Let me guess, a heart, right? Well, you can keep it. It's more of it was a mistake. I would rather not have one at all than feel all this pain. It does not matter if you are a boy or a girl, it all hurts the same. Anyways, I would rather not feel anything at all. Well, wait a second. With love, I'm done with love. So I stood there for a long while listening to all the stories, and then it hit me. Hearts are so much more than a man loving a woman or a boy loving a girl. It pumps my blood throughout my body, beating faster and faster. And then when you find the one who will turn when you touch, is the moment you will make sure it pumps aplenty. Love can be so much more if you give it a chance, like the birth of a son or a daughter, your first kiss or the last. It's a feeling you feel even when there's no need to, with just a look, a touch, a glance, a romance. Then, out of nowhere, a huge bolt of lightning crashed down, knocking me to the ground. When I woke up, I was sitting right next to. When I woke up, I was on the ground, and sitting right next to me was a heart-shaped locket made of tin. And when I opened it up, it explained so much that those tears that fell were the last of sadness that I would ever cry again. Then soon after, it was blue skies and sunny places and laughter, something that I had not heard in many years. And love, you know what? What's the old saying? It's better to have loved and lost than to never have loved at all. And that is the truth. And that's what I learned from the Land of Oz. Oh, the locket? You want to know what was in it? That I can't really tell you, but it had the lion, Cupid, and myself. But it did say, love is a 4-letter word, so use it every single day. Amen. That one is called Land of Oz. I hope you guys liked that one. That was so much fun. Oh, thank you, Rasma. Thank you very much. That's been a fun one to play with. I don't know where it came from. I was just writing it. You know how that goes. He's a poet. Yeah, that really was fun. I really enjoyed that one. The next one is called, well, I'm going to go ahead and do this one now because I think I need to. As of course, you know, my fight for Ryder in the war and the battles took a toll. That's why it's called the Battle Lost. You know, I kind of lost track of some of my kids, and my boys are a little upset with me because they think I fought for him and not them, and they don't understand. They weren't there. They don't understand the dynamics, and I hope one day that they will, because I love them very much and I miss them. Michael, Brian, and Dakota very much. And it's starting to take an effect on me. So I wrote this. I pray one day that the three will find their way back to a father who is missing them very much and finally truly understand between the truth and lies, which of hidden reality of only God and time have the key to set me free. As truth is my conviction will prevail. So to Michael, Brian, Dakota, I've always cared about and loved you very much, as you were always the first and last thing I think about before I close my eyes. Where I dreamed that we're sitting in a ball game, laughing and talking, having a beer and hot dog, watching the Los Angeles Dodgers win the World Series. That's what I dream about. This one's called Silence. As I lay right here in my bed, terrorized while paralyzed, afraid to move, staring up at tiny cracks in the ceiling in the middle of the day with sunlight trying hard to filter through the old dirty torn curtains in this old rundown one-room motel that I had found myself in and called home, wondering how in the hell did I end up here, as all of my fears of dying alone seem to have indeed will come true. As the tears have now started to fall, streaming down my cheek for a cold, deep sadness that I now feel, but yet not for all the bloody battles that I have lost in my wasted life, but more for the few wars that I have won. Not for the darkness of a depression that I have fallen so deep into that I now fear this time will never end, or for a war that has already ended, it seems like a lifetime ago, that still and always will battle within the confines of my own head. Striking out in an empty air, an enemy no longer there, yet I'm attacked every single day. or all my inner demons that I fight with. So every single night when I try so hard to close my old, tired, bloodshot eyes to try to get some sleep, and I try so hard to run away and hide while they continually hunt me down, try to take my wounded soul for them to keep as a prize. But no, for all the scars that now lay upon my heart with a searing pain that screams out in agony from being ripped all apart, broken by a few who had no soul at all, whose entire life was devoted to try to destroy mine, sent by the evil who lives on the other side of the light as I tried my best to save a little boy, not mine. The sadness that I'm feeling is not for any kind of sorrow or even regret of any kind at all, but for all the decisions that I had never made, or even the chance to sit down and explain all the reasons that I did what I felt was needed to save the life of someone else whose complete and total silence has created a deep pit of agony that no one can understand, dragging me through a hell I wish upon no other man, mourning the death of three who are and always will be so dear to me, who are still quite alive yet hold the misunderstood, misplaced hatred and disappointment sight of me as a failure who has failed them as a father, tattooed and printed within their hearts and minds as the truth of reality has gotten twisted by the lies blurred between the lines as I was tried and judged and convicted without my side or evidence ever needed as the jury of the few who was blinded by the quiet silence of ignorance found me guilty of the truth, sentenced to death by the deliverance of a silence erasing my remembrance of any type of involvement in their lives. I have many times pleaded for a stay of execution by a sorrow and forgiveness that shall not ever come. Overwhelmed in confusion by hurt and scorn, delivered by a ghost who was never born, exiled and now forgotten in a jail cell of my own design. All alone now, my own self-pity where I am to slowly rot as I now forever become insane by madness, going crazy as the memories play over like a broken record of the second of every second to every minute from the day of their births of each and every one of my sons, and the joy that I felt from the smiles that they gave me now is taken stolen from my life, from a disease called addiction that has now cured, inflicted by a conflicted mind that I now have finally beaten, only to wake from the smoke and haze in a coma I was in to find that there is no one else around except the deafening sounds and the silence of the dead. Underground except for me, who is beat, broken, now forsaken in the old rundown dirty one-room motel room. Terrified while paralyzed, afraid to love at all, with only the sound around of the teardrops as they fall, destined in fate to die here all alone. So the next one, if a flower can bloom into a beauty of a rose and a friendship can bloom into love, right? I wrote that one last night, actually. That's one I also wrote last night. If beauty was a measurement of time, and eternity would not come close to how beautiful you are to me. You're as beautiful as the sunrise and the sunset when the moon makes love to the sun. All right, this is the last one. I don't remember if I read it in the last live poetry, but I've been getting a lot of comments on this one, and I absolutely love this one when I wrote it, and I kind of kept it to myself for quite a while because I was just kind of afraid of what people might think. But after starting to read it again and I read it out loud and practicing it, I think it's probably one of the best pieces I've ever written in my life, actually. So it's called Passion for Poetry, The Story Will Never End. When I bumped into you by mistake the other day and knocked those books out of your hands, I had no idea that when we both bent down to pick them up, I could look directly down your blouse to see those beautiful bare breasts that you tried so hard to hide, and I knew that you saw me when your nipples got very hard. And I thought, man, I need to introduce myself and apologize to High Rider as he goes by, and for a lack of class and charm that we both grabbed our books at the same time. What happened next? It's kind of still blurry, but I can tell you the best I can from my memories. You were reading poetry by Keats, Poe, and Christopher Marlowe. Excuse me, guys. This is what happens when we do live poetry when we have a rude little boy. That's rude. I told you that. You're rude. Don't put that over there. That's Ryder, rude boy. So you were reading posts by Keats. I can't remember now. Okay, go back up here. All the different verses filled by words, creating all the poems that turn you on, making your heart start to beat faster and your soul start dancing on a stripper's pole. And that is just what was hidden beneath those layers of clothes and the shy woman you show on the outside. But in reality, is the body. No, sorry guys. You're still starting. Showing the outside reality is the body of a goddess, the hottest one of all, that has the desires of a freaking heat in bed, that needs to feel the hard thrust of a man if you are being naughty, the kind that does whatever you want and more. And then our eyes locked together in each other, and I saw your naked soul touching itself in places that only a woman could ever know. And then I saw the demon that you let loose when you can. It saw me and smiled, licked its lips, and said, "Hey, you sexy." Me and her soul are gonna have a little party. Want to be our man? Her heart started whispering, you turn her on, so she wants you very bad, reading poetry, drinking wine, and conversations of intelligence and deepness from a lover and a friend. So if you read a book and understand what poetry means, not a limerick from a dirty old man, but the kind that brings a tear from a soul in pain, or the beating of two hearts as one while they make love all night on our beach in the rain until the light of the early morning dawn. A man who is all man, not afraid to cry when a poem gets in his head, from the birth of a love when two lovers meet for the first time and innocence is gone. The death of a child born or lost, or a good friend. The laughter of a household, or the tears when the laughter ends. To her, my friend, that is sexy. It is what passion is all about. So if you want this woman, then listen to our whispers for the secrets to finding the key to the one that opens the door to her heart. Then you will understand a little time and patience, and you can have her demon that loves to play. A night behind closed doors when anything goes. To her soul to her soul that she shows when others are around, and her heart that is yours, so treat it like a ton of gold. You treat her right with love and honesty, and she will be yours always and forevermore, making you feel like a king, not needing anything at all. For she is your every dream, wants, and desires. Then I saw us in a vision, making love everywhere we could, from the kitchen table at the park, even the hood of the car at Ohio. Then I saw us growing old together, still happily in love, holding hands like teenage kids as we rode off into the sunset. And then I was back right here where we are, just like nothing ever happened at all. It was as if I was transported into those books and was somehow ingrained in the ink that was used when the poet wrote those words. I was living in all the emotions, feeling them as they were read and written, feeling all the passion of the poet, and now I understand. So let me take you out tonight and drink some coffee. I will read some poetry and then go home, and I will write a poem against your skin until all the ink is spent. And then I'll roll over and let you do all the work as you ride me like a stallion until the morning sun. That's what I saw just now, and she said yes. So even though this piece is over, it doesn't mean that I'm finished. No, by far from that. I will tell you, I will always continue to write because that is who I am and will always be. The story will never end. And that, my friends, was the last one I had. So I hope you enjoyed it, and have a good night. We have rude people coming in and out all day long.